Hey YouTubers, how you guys doing? Yeah, have you guys had a nice weekend? What do I want to talk about today? Uh, Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe. Uh, Welcome to my YouTube channel. What are we going to talk about? It's always something different. Today is Sunday, spiritual day, so let's talk about the spiritual state of the union, or whatever, our state. The inner state's always getting projected to the exterior, right? Um, so, as the way that, so this is a macro situation that's happening that I've been encouraged by Spirit to just let people understand what's happening. Conflict gets created when we're trying to, you know, when things slow down, especially when they slow down. My brother drives truck, and consumer demand has gone down. So actually, trucking rates went down just recently. So he's making less per month. That puts a strain on the shipping and receiving industry, especially when there's either less consumer products or consumer demands down because, let's say, people have less extra money to put towards things that they don't need, right? I mean, we don't need to go buy out 6 packs of beer, right? Or there's certain things that we don't need that fall behind. Of course, toilet paper, coffee, sugar. Usually those are the last things that we stop buying, right? I mean, think about the things that we stop buying first, and it's definitely not toilet paper. I mean, we could stop buying toilet paper and just start using rags and cleaning rags, but you get used to toilet paper. It's nice to have toilet paper, right? Utilities. You're going to make sure you pay utilities. Nobody wants to have their water shut off or their power shut off. Your house payment. It's nice to have a car. But the extra stuff, right? The entertainment products that aren't providing any income or living, quality of living, those things start dying out. So that part of the marketplace is starting to get restricted really badly. And so you'll see much harder to introduce new things unless they're supporting the healing that's happening under the surface, right? Because everything is all about healing relationships. And the reason why this is happening in the first place is because the system is never in balance, right? It's always been out of balance because our jobs in society have been treated differently for years, right? But the reality is there's nobody that's worth anything more. Is my hourly rate for whatever I'm doing that's supporting society less worthy than someone else's? No, right? When we create disparages in time, it's an indication of an unhealthy heart space, right? Which is why we measured time in the first place. It's because we had an unhealthy heart. We didn't even realize that. I had a conversation with somebody who was talking about, how money can create so much dysfunction, and they tried to say that money is just basic quantum physics. It's like, well, technically speaking, quantum physics has nothing to do with money, and actually the creation of money pulls you out of no time, right? The reality is there's no time. But you create time by creating things, by measuring it. Money wouldn't exist if we didn't measure time. Because we're measuring how valuable our time is. And so we measure a distance. But the reality is we're always in the present. And once you become fully present, your value is infinite, right? Because you're connected to everything. So how can you possibly put measure the value of the moment? You can't measure the value of the moment. All you can do is try to measure the value of an illusionary span of time, if that makes sense. So quantum physics actually breaks down money completely. Time goes bye-bye when you're in the quantum, right? because let's be real, when you and I are sitting in front of each other, we're staring into each other's eyes, how could you possibly create a monetary value for that? You're just either present or you're not present. And if you're not present, one of us is trying to ground the other, to make sure that we're not in a aggressive way, but maybe just in a, playful way, so that we're enjoying each other's company, right? And then we can start creating together. So, and all that stuff, that's what we're seeing on the surface is the healing that needs to take place for all of us to be in our creative energy and be in our creative energy without any effort, and agree to create stuff together or agree to create stuff individually. You become more creative when you're more present, right? You're not worried about tomorrow. You're not worried about yesterday. You don't think about whether or not you're worthy or not worthy. None of those things even should ever enter your mind, because you are the most precious thing in this world, and everybody is. But it always goes back to Jen. Anyway, so we're seeing that on a global level, right? Spiritually speaking, people, how we value our time is getting constricted. So now the Fed is stuck. If you guys pay attention to U.S. news, or similar things are happening in every country. You've got people with more money are pricing people with less money out of everything, because certain jobs just don't pay as much. And if you're used to not working, depending on what kind of, the people that get hit the hardest are the people that take care of the elderly or take care of children, right? I mean, education industry, poor teachers why wouldn't we pay our teachers the most in society? It's because teaching kids is never for profit. It should never be for profit. But as communities, we don't value the things that have the most value. It's when you're looking after the false measurement of time to create as much time as you want for yourself, you have to take it from somebody else. And unfortunately, a lot of times the people that suffer are the people that are public servants, right? The public servants suffer. The teachers, the healthcare workers, in a lot of ways. And we have to heal that as a society in order to function healthily. Everything has to be brought into balance. And so we're going through another 2,000-year cycle, which expands into a 24,000-year cycle when you look at the big scheme of things, right? We're at the end of there's 6,000-year half cycle, or quarter cycle, 12,000-year half cycle. We're up to 24,000-year full cycle that we're up to right now. Wheels within wheels. And so we're seeing a rebalance of the energy. Now, if you're in a company, if you're working for a business, and some of you may be able to resonate with this, if you're working in a business where the executive is trying to get more and more out of their employees because of a declining marketplace, eventually that business will collapse, right? I mean, you can't just expect more and more and drive harder and try and control more. That doesn't work. You'll kill the human heart. The human heart can't do that. It'll leave. And so you got to start providing for each other and seeing, what is it do you need? What can we do to make you happy? Because you have to create, unless you create a family there, then that family will fall apart. And for me personally, I have, putting yourself in service to the people around you altruistically forces you to say, hey, look, I'm willing to do anything for my family. Anything. And I have to look at everybody as family. You can't look at anybody against you, but you end up getting discernment about who, wants to provide for each other and not provide for each other. And it forces you to get in your creative energy, because you'll always have to become more creative when you're or you're doing things for yourself, right? So that is what we're seeing, right? I mean, gross national product, as gross national product goes down, the actual number of products goes down. They have to pump more and more money into the system to keep it afloat. But the price for that is inflation, which makes it so that more and more people can afford less and less. And then the businesses start to dry up. The small ones dry up because they're supporting the bigger businesses that are slowly drying up. So they're caught between a rock and a hard place right now. You're caught between not lowering rates so that people can borrow more money at the cost of making so that people can't borrow more money, or people aren't interested in buying more money, so there's less money in the system, so it starts to run into deflation or inflation, and there's really no way to fix it. They've been kicking this ball down the court for so long. You're seeing a very slow die. I mean, you're looking at the death of Rome. Exact same thing happened in 70 AD, and then you had a messianic figure that was teaching people how to be of service to one another and let all that stuff go and manifest. Say, hey, look, we're just like, see the lilies of the field and how they grow. Neither do they toil, nor they don't toil, or something else. Anyway, such an awesome quote, and says so much. There's more wisdom than in them than Solomon ever had. Yeah. And if you can get to that state where you're never in a state of conflict, and you can see that we would have been living in paradise a long time ago, and in a lot of ways you can create paradise for yourself and then emulate that for the people around you to make sure they understand how to get to that state. All you're doing is grounding conflicts. Your job becomes grounding conflicts in the body, energetically, between people, to make sure that people know that you care about them no matter what they're going through. Don't turn your back. I am not one of these. There's a lot of cord cutting that gets taught on YouTube. It's all about controlling your mind. A lot of people do it through ritual, but there's no reason to tie yourself energetically to somebody that doesn't want to continue to interact with you, right? It's just, but let it go. You don't want to carry resentment of any kind. Cord cutting has nothing to do with resentment or hate or anything, because our actions are always coming from a place of a lack of understanding or ignorance. And so how can we ever hold anybody accountable for their own ignorance? They're ignorant of it, right? And we don't realize that we create our own reality by our level of understanding and our level of the health of our heart. Yeah. So I'm just going to leave that with you guys today. It's just something that I want to get off my chest, just to let see if you guys are seeing the same things I am, right? We're all seeing the same energetic signatures around us. And so I just wanted to make sure I'm sharing myself with you guys the same way that you guys share yourselves with me when I meet you on the street, or I meet you, anywhere. Yeah. The state of the union, right? What's going on? And so it's going to take a little while for the group collective to get to where it really understands what needs to happen. But for the healing that needs to happen, people have to get to where we're not propping each other up in front of one another, right? Where all we do is we present ourselves to one another. It's like, how are we going to create a equal energetic exchange here? How are we going to what are we going to build together? But then at the same time, people say, well, how are you going to support yourself if you're not selling something for money? Here's the thing. How can I sell something to you claiming that whatever I had to sell has more value than whatever you have? We're both ignorant. And if we were ignorant of just one thing, then we're potentially ignorant of an infinite amount of things. Right? So when you accept that and you fall, you really do reach a state of consciousness. It's like, ooh. All you can do is just get to where you do what you're asked, and be open to receive. Say, I will always do whatever I'm asked of you, as long as, and be open to receive. And then if you do the same for me, right? And then you have to be in a place where it's okay to ask. I will always need help from you guys, from anybody that wants to help me. And I'll be always willing to help you in return. But when it gets, it gets dysfunctional, when people, self-interest undermines unity, right? What else do I have to say about that? I don't know. I guess we could pull one oracle card and see what it says. It's Sunday. What do we have? Like this, I used to hang this little guy. It's like Baby Yoda. It's like the guy from The Mandalorian, the little guy. I had him hanging in a tree. We had an Airbnb in Idaho. And I offered people $25. If you can find Baby Yoda on the property, I'll give you $25. So, a couple people found Baby Yoda. Actually, it was only one person. And then they re-hit him, and I never saw him again. This isn't the original. Yoda's still there, and I don't know where they put him. It's cool, though. I thought it was kind of a cool thing you could have for people showing up. Celebration. Celebration is a good thing. So, celebrate the people around you that care about you, and know that you got one YouTuber here that will care about you no matter where you're at or what you're doing. Even if you don't like him. I don't care. You can dislike me. It's okay. I love you anyway, because we're all one. And even if we dislike a part of ourselves, it's just because the only reason that we dislike it is because we dislike it because of its ignorance. And so we become ignorant of ourselves when we do that. Forgiveness brings out a whole different meaning when you really understand it, right? Love you guys. Have a beautiful day. And I don't know. What kind of video will I make tomorrow? I don't know. I love you guys.